It was a regular Tuesday in May, and I had gotten myself off to school as usual. I was feeling out of sorts all day because I had my first job interview scheduled for that afternoon, and my mom promised she'd pick me up from school so I'd have lots of time to get ready. Little did I know while I was at school, things took an unexpected turn for my grandma, who for the past 8 years had been living in our basement. She was fine one minute, and the next she was sending strange text messages to my mom and couldn't speak properly. When the school day was finished, I walked out and saw my dad parked where my mom should have been. I was confused and told him so when I got in the car. I asked Dad where Mom was, and he told me she had gone to the hospital with my grandma. When I asked what was wrong, he told me Grandma had a brain tumor, just like that. I thought he was joking and got mad at him for making a joke like that, but he said it wasn't a joke. I couldn't believe it. She was fine when I said goodbye before school that morning. When I got home, I got ready for my interview. My dad was reassuring me that everything would go okay, but if I needed to, I could tell them what happened and ask them to reschedule. He was sure they would understand. In the end, I decided to go through with the interview and did well. That evening, when my mom came home, she told us all about what had happened with Grandma. She had a brain tumor and was confused and unable to communicate clearly. I was so upset and immediately asked when we could see her, but the hospital still had strict COVID rules and we weren't allowed to visit. A few days later, I got an email offering me a job at the place I had interviewed. I remember feeling very happy that I was offered the job, and it was a nice distraction from how upset I had been feeling about my grandma, but I felt guilty for being too happy when I felt like I should be sad for her. Grandma stayed in that hospital for about a month having tests, and it was confirmed that she had lung cancer that had spread to her brain. It didn't sound good. Once she had been in contact with the proper doctors, she was moved to the cancer hospital to try some treatment. Finally, we could visit her. I missed her and I was excited to see her because the last time we had spoke had been the morning of the day she went to the hospital. My mom brought me and my brother to visit Grandma, and I was shocked by the way she looked. Her face was so swollen from the medication they gave her. The tumor caused confusion for her, but she was so happy to see us. My brother and I put on brave faces in front of Grandma during the visit, but deep down we were scared and uncomfortable. We'd never been in a hospital with someone very sick, and it was upsetting to see her like that. The next time we went to visit her, it was for her birthday. She turned 67. We brought her a Black Forest cake, which was her favorite, and when we asked if she liked it, she said she'd had better. Me and my brother thought that was funny, but my mom looked kind of annoyed. We ended up leaving the cake with the nurses, and they were very grateful. By the end of June, Grandma had a chemo treatment and noticed that her hair was already starting to fall out. For our next visit, she asked us to bring the hair clippers so we could get rid of what was left of her hair. The hair was falling out and making her feel itchy. That ended up being a funny day. My brother played the part of cameraman while me and my mom started to shave Grandma's hair. Grandma was in good spirits and laughed as we shaved her head. When we finished up, she felt her head with her hands and made such a funny face. We were lucky my brother caught that exact moment in a photo. She laughed so hard when we showed her the picture. I was sad to leave her that day because she was in such a good mood. The summer went by pretty quickly. I was working at my new job and my brother was busy with soccer. We managed a few more visits, but knew that Grandma wasn't doing well. She was confused most times and had been getting worse physically too. Mom spent so much time with Grandma at the hospital over those months. We didn't see her much until the end of each day. By mid-August, the doctor told us that Grandma's chemo wasn't working and they were going to stop treatments. We knew she was terminal, but we thought we'd have more time with her. Since Grandma was no longer receiving treatment, we had to find a place for her to go. She couldn't come home because we couldn't give her the care she needed, and my mom decided that when the time was right, she would be moved to a palliative care hospital where they could properly care for her. Near the end of August, when we were already on our way to the hospital, we got the call that she was going to be moved that same day. My mom brought me and my brother to visit, so we spent some time with Grandma, but she wanted to have a nap, so we decided to go home for lunch and bring my brother home. He didn't want to help move Grandma to the new hospital. Grandma was upset and confused when we got back and required a lot of consoling that we would be with her and look after everything. My mom and I packed up all of Grandma's things while she was taken by transport to the new hospital. It was so stressful as everything happened so quickly. Grandma was upset and afraid, and we wanted to be there for her when she arrived in her new room. She spent her last few weeks in that room being cared for by wonderful doctors and nurses. Her room was private and had space for us to spend time with her. There were beautiful trees outside the window, and it was a very peaceful place. Grandma slept for most of the last visit I had with her and didn't really understand me for the time that she was awake. The last thing she told me was that she loved me, and then we left. As soon as we got in the elevator, my mom and I both burst into tears. We knew that was the last time I would see her. Grandma slept her way through the next few days and passed away in the early morning of September 7th. Since it was only the second day of a new school year, we decided to go to school. It was really hard to be there, but I understood why my parents wanted me to go. Over the next day or two, we found all sorts of great pictures of Grandma to include in her service. My family had experienced a lot of loss over the years, but this one was the hardest. Grandma had lived with us for the past 8 years, and I was very close with her. We made a lot of great memories together, and I will cherish her forever.